Well, something very fishy in the water of the Eastern Cape, or well, wrong anyway. This after Rugby Union border on the heels of the Eastern Province. Rugby Union is set to be liquidated. The Provisional Liquidation Order was granted by an East London court early Tuesday morning. Rugby analyst Thando Manana joins us on the line via telephone to discuss this. Thando, welcome to the program. Thank you indeed for joining us.
So good evening, and also good evening to your viewers.
Let's start right there, Thando. A couple of months ago, we were discussing EP Rugby. Now Border is following hot on the heels. What is going on in the Eastern Cape?
Well, it's not the first time that the Border finds themselves once again going to the courts and being, this time around, obviously, it's provincial liquidation, meaning that on the 26th of June, if there's not enough evidence in terms of business rescue that they can come up with to show that they do have the liquidity in terms of the financial purse coming into aid, and maybe just granting a certain amount of portion that is required, maybe then they will go for the full liquidation. Remember, these are my players. It's not to say that there's been maladministration. Firstly, let me just make it a point that, the Border Rugby Union continuously get the support grant from SARU, but this time around, because of the medical aid as well as other small issues, they're in arrears of over 200,000, meaning that the players are unable to pay. There's no medical aid, and, then it's just, I think, lessons learned from the Eastern Province. You spoke about Tabisto is they didn't want to delay. It was left up to the players, and it was the players' decision that they're going to go with this route this time around, because they also feel that they want to play, but everything has to be assured that they'll get the medicals paid and so forth, and that unfortunately didn't happen. So, a lot of lessons learned from that. I think also the Border administration themselves have been really taking their time, banking in terms of important sessions that SARU has invited all the unions in terms of them telling the unions that they'll be cutting in terms of the grant, and from them and by them not attending, it has now come to this whereby now they're unable to they're overspending in terms of what they have in the pocket to what they think they do have, and unfortunately the budget has been cut across board. Even the bigger unions are feeling the pinch, and Border, once again, they never attended any of those meetings. I mean, the union president was even called to Cape Town. He missed the flight. He never made it up to the financial committee. So there's just so much that, you don't attribute these things to the playing personnel, but you have to blame it on the administrators, because the people that suffers then is the players.
I was just about to go there, Thando. It seems that, like the story that we discussed about EP Rugby itself, it is the administrators that get the athletes into trouble. And I remember you at the forefront of actually saying, look, if players are not getting paid, this is their livelihood. You even open up a purse where people could donate to the players. Could we see something heading that route? But surely somebody must be accountable. Surely administrators must be held to account.
Yeah, well, it starts with the president, Mr. McCall. You've got to also understand that by yesterday, late afternoon, there were mumblings happening behind that the municipality, the Buffalo municipality, will come in aid. This morning they hadn't come back to them, but also later on in the day today, just before we went live, Tabi, a call came in that they're saying they've managed to get 800,000 from the municipality. We'll have to wait and see tomorrow what happens. Remember, Border was about to play their first provincial game in Port Elizabeth just before the Western Province, Eastern Province game at 1 o'clock against Boland. Now, with that provincial liquidation, it means then your amateur league, which is your club structures, as well as your provincial side, are not supposed to even start playing or competing against other provinces, and also club. Everything has come to a halt, therefore meaning that the whole region, Border region, there will be no rugby that will be played, and that's a setback once again. To whom? To the players. By whom? By its executive. There's no excuse for any administrators to miss these important sessions that were called on by SARU CEO Yuri Roo. There was one in Cape Town, there was one in Johannesburg, and both of them, they didn't make it. The Border was absent. once again, the financial committee giving them an opportunity to come and put their case forward in terms of where they fall short, what they need and what support they need.
Yeah.
Once again, Border went AWOL, and this time around, now they find themselves in a, in this provisional liquidation.
Yes.
And who are they going to blame? They can't blame anyone but themselves. And the players, I feel, have 100% correct in taking them to the courts and making sure that, they pay the players. Yes, they will suffer, but they'll suffer knowing that they've taken the right decision, as it was proven with Eastern Province. After that decision was taken, you saw the rise of Eastern Province Rugby. But the funny thing with Border, it's not the first time, Tabiso. We know that there were stories that even their cars for developmental purposes were even sold on auction because they were taken again to the court. They never learned. Once again, it's that power that comes from within the administrators, where the clubs now have to make sure that they hold people accountable, whether by vote of no confidence, in order to get the right people, and you let the ship going again, or otherwise players will continue suffering. This is the same region, Tabiso, that find that they've got 4 institutions. They've got WUSU, they've got Forte, they've got Rhodes, and now they'll be joined by NMMU playing in the Varsity Shield, meaning that there won't be any top-flight varsity rugby happening. This is the same region that doesn't have any provincial side playing Premier Rugby in the Currie Cup, only the first division. So everything seems to be going down. And who do you blame? You can't blame the players.
Be the administrators, indeed.
People that don't come and do their position and jobs correctly, and the players are suffering.
There has to be administrators, Thando. Unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there, and hopefully, as you said, that rescue does come through and something is done to keep rugby afloat in that part of the country. Thank you very much. That was Thando Manana, our in-house rugby analyst. He's also the author of Being a Black Springbok, joining us via telephone line from Port Elizabeth.